I was hoping you could regale me with a couple of tales about Blackjack Lanza, who passed away a few days ago. And, as far as I can tell, really well liked, big rugged veteran of many, many decades. Everybody loved him as an agent. But any personal stories from you?
Yeah, I first met Blackjack in St. Louis, Missouri. I mean, that Blackjack was a staple. Lanza was kind of these one of these individual guys. Him and the other Blackjack Mulligan teamed up, man, they were intimidating folks. But at this time, he was wrestling singles in St. Louis. And believe it or not, Jack was kind of a mid card guy. He was one of those guys that St. Louis, as you know, was the mecca of the NWA, the headquarters of the NWA, and it's where Sam brought the champion in, and he would build the champion. But he had a group of guys, kind of like Roger Kirby and some of these guys. Blackjack Lanza was one of them. That when the champion came in, was ready to go up, he would work with the champion, make sure the champion looked great, the week before he was having his big title match or something. My brother was NWA world champion at the time. And when he'd look at the card, I mean, when he'd know ahead of time, of course, because he was champion, but when he'd look at the schedule and see, he always got a smile on his face because here's this land. I mean, 6'9", 6'8", whatever he was, 300 plus pound. And back in those days, Lanza was huge and muscular. And man, what an athlete he was, too. He could go. My brother loved being in the ring with him. Jack, even in his book, stated that Jack Lanza was probably the best guy that he ever worked with, as far as being a pure athlete. And that's a hell of a compliment because Jack worked with all the best guys in the business during that era, during that golden era, too, I should say. So, but Jack, I would work the tag team with Blackjack and his partner, and I worked a few end of it. So we got to know each other, and he owned. He worked his way in. Very very bright man. Jack Lanza was college graduate, school teacher, and all that stuff. Very bright man, and what a nice guy. But he had worked his way into ownership of part of Vern Gagne's little territory, AWA up there, and he had purchased Winnipeg and was running Winnipeg. Winnipeg was a dead ass town that you didn't want to go to because you knew you weren't going to make anybody.
Hmm.
Well, Blackjack took this town over, and all of a sudden, the guys are wanting to go there. Number one, because Blackjack was such a good guy, that you wanted to help him out. And number two, he was busting his butt doing the promotional work. And all of a sudden, Winnipeg started drawing bigger than some of these others. So, all the guys were coming to Jack Lanza saying, hey, book me in Winnipeg, book me in Winnipeg. So he turned that Winnipeg into a losing town, into one of the most profitable towns in Vern Gagne's stable of venues. And so I never worked that territory, but a few years later, when Vince Jr. started making his move around, he started making individual deals with people that own pretty good cities and territories and everything. Of course, Winnipeg was kind of separate from what Vern wasn't going to sell because of his ego. I could do this, but Blackjack saw the writing on the wall, saw the vehicle, and saw what my brother and I had done down in Georgia by giving selling Vince the rights to Georgia Championship Wrestling, and so he kind of saw the writing on the wall that, hey, I better hitch my horse to the winner. So of course he saddled up with Vince Jr. and so he got a job backstage, kind of doing the road agent job for Vince, and so I was move myself up the ladder with Vince, or I was over the agents. I was ahead. I would assign the agents the venues that they were assigned to all over the world, and communicate with them through Vince. Vince would call me early that morning, and then I would get with the road agent, and we would lay out the card the way Vince saw it and the way Vince wanted it. And there were very few guys, being an agent that time, that Vince trusted 100%. So when we get to the venues where Jack Lanza was from, who's your agent there, Brisco? I said, Jack Lanza. He's good. He said, we don't have to go over a lot of stuff because I trust Jack enough. But you go where there's another agent, he would go over every little minute detail that there was in a 5 minute match. I mean, the guy is thorough. That's where a lot of people don't give Vince McMahon credit. He's a detail guy. I mean, every little detail has got to be perfect in his mind before it's presented to the talent. But with Landa, you could kind of just give him a summary and a brief outline of what the boss wanted, and he would fill in all the blanks, and it was usually the right moods to fill in the blanks with. So he was trusted. The guys are very quick on they catch on who you can work and who you can't work, and who you want to work and who you don't work. Well, Lanza, being the big, imposing, intimidating guy that he was, nobody was wanting to mess around with Lanza. Plus, Jack had worked so hard to get in that position. Everybody wanted to help Jack. So it was a real cooperative effort. So when you went to Jack's town, you didn't see any of this little clique thing. These guys over in this corner, these guys over in this corner, and they're conspiring on how they can get themselves over. You would find a group effort on, hey, how can we help Lanza get this town even bigger one? Everybody respected Jack Lanza. Lanza had one rule. You treat him like you want to be treated. You show up to work on time and you do your job. And then what you do after hours is on you. I'm not going to babysit you. You're a grown man. Well, the talent grew to respect Jack like that, and Jack liked to sip on an adult beverage after the event was over. So he would, where most of the agents would go to the room and call Vince and stooge off the guys and stuff like that. Guys knew that Jack Lanza wasn't a stooge, and if Jack Lanza told you something, 99 and 9/10 of the time, whatever he told you was going to become true. So he was able to gain the trust factor with the talent. And I think that was the most important asset that Jack Lanza had, that he was just one of these guys that you liked and you didn't want to see fail. So everybody worked with him.
Did you have any examples, or have any examples to give about a couple of wrestlers who go out for a match and then do things specifically to annoy Jack just to get a reaction out of him? Because I've heard of several stories of he would have some of the best reactions when a match would go wrong on purpose, and he'd just be there gobsmacked.
Yeah, Jack had a little thing. He would, if something would go wrong, and I mean, he was so respected. But everyone's with guys are going to be guys. They're going to play around a little bit, and Jack was, like I said, was a serious man there, and. I mean, I've come right down to Pacific side. I'm not going to tell all the details, but Stone Cold was a perfect example. Sometimes Stone Cold would go out and go off script because he was Stone Cold, and Stone Cold and Jack Lanza had a bond like this. I mean, they were tight, and for the guys, I mean, he would always take the guy that screwed up and they go into the shower. That's where you had all your conference meetings. You go into the shower, and they would sort it out, but it would never get back to Vince unless it was a real flagrant violation that Jack had to report it with. The guys kind of knew that, so Stone Cold and him, they built this bond together, and Stone Cold usually requested Lanza to be his agent at every match. So Jack kind of had it made because Stone Cold was our top baby at the time, drawing the top houses. So everywhere that Stone Cold went, I'd book Lanza there with him, so Lanza make a payoff there. But I think him and Stone Cold one time went in the locker room and just for sake of the boys, because when you went to that shower with Lanza, everybody kind of have that ear out. What? So they started hollering at each other, just working each other, just playing with each other, nothing serious. they'd come out. Well, all right, you do it one more time, I'm gonna have to call a boss. Well, Lanza, you're nothing but a stooge. I mean, it was just all in fun, but it was a great time. And then the funny story I have on Jack Lanza. Jack Lanza was like a damn chimney with a damn Marlboro cigarette. Called it the Marlboro Man. Man, he only smoked on the road. I'd be in the car with him. We'd stop and leaving the town. He'd get 3 packs of Marlboro. Jack, what are you going to do? Well, I got to, and get towards the end, and he's lighting one up. He'd have one, and I said, Jack, what do you, he said, I'm not going to, Jack was a cheap SOB too. He said, I'm not going to throw these away. And if I save them, I said, what do you mean throw them away? He said, my wife don't know I smoke. Is that you or me? Oh, that's me there.
No, that's you.
Sorry about that. My son, Wes. Can I call you later? There you go. And so I'm going to put this down on the floor so it don't buzz on me. So where was it? So with smoking. So he would smoke up the 3 packs. Whether he had 2 hours or an hour, he would make sure he smoked every one of the cigarettes. He didn't want his wife to find a package or a stray cigarette. So I started messing with it. We all carried these briefcases of Halliburton. Jack carried this big silver Halliburton. Sometimes he would leave it open, and just out of spite, a cigarette package would be laying beside the Halliburton. I'd slip a cigarette out and slide it in one of those back pockets. Of course, when he got home, his wife would refresh his bag and everything, And plus, I used to ask him, Jack, I said, no offense, but after 3 days on the road with you, and he always wanted to look. He never changed shirts. He changed pants and underwear and socks, I hope, but his shirt was always that plum colored shirt. He had it every. I said, "That's the only shirt you got?" Well, no, I got 3. They're all the same color.
Yeah, so it's like Bart Simpson.
Yeah,
has a wardrobe of exactly the same t-shirts.
Very good. Exactly. So, and man, and I love Jack to death, but him and Pat Patterson, they would go out back and they'd smoke a pack of cigarettes before they'd finish a conversation. Because Pat was a smoker just like Lanza. And they had Bruce Pritchard we used to hate to have to get in a small meeting with them in a small room because both of them smelt like and just reeked of cigarette smoke. And there's nothing like, a day old cigarette smell, especially coming out of your mouth. And we used to get both. You guys were meant for each other. You guys ride together. You got to be, because both of your breaths stink. So I asked, one day, like I said, I stuck that cigarette into a pouch in the back of Jack's briefcase. So the next day he's off, he's home, and his wife's going through his briefcase, straightening out all of this. You just throw your notes in when you're on the road, you just throw your notes in there. And his wife was a school teacher also. And so she would straighten everything out and have everything organized. And so she straightened everything out. All of a sudden she picks up. And I used to ask Jack, what do you do with your clothes when you get home? He said, the first thing I do, I go to my bedroom, I take off all my road clothes on, and I go right to the washer and dryer and dump them all in the washer and dryer. He didn't even have his wife wash his clothes because he was afraid she'd smell it. So all of a sudden, she's going through that briefcase. She pulls out a cigarette in the back of it. All right, Jack, I've been suspecting this. I've been smelling stuff, but I've never, what should, well, Dan Brisco probably playing a joke on me. And he was right, it was Brisco. And I got a phone call. And you SOB, why in the hell did I got all kinds of grief? What do you get grief for? And I'm playing a dumb guy. And he said, you put that cigarette. No, I didn't put no cigarette. Call him on. So finally I admitted to him. He had his wife call me and to back up his story because she didn't believe that I put it in there either. So he had his wife call me. And she said, did you put that cigarette in the back of Jack's briefcase? I said, what cigarette? And now they're back and forth. So finally I said, yes, I put it in there. So the next weekend on the tour, I run into him. Boy, he's madder than a hornet at me. And he starts cutting me out. And then all the guys, we're all laughing like crazy, that Jack got caught smoking a cigarette.